Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Hooty Hoo KSU Football Podcast. My name is Griffin Nichols. I am your host. Please like and subscribe. You can find the Hooty Hoo KSU Football Podcast at all your podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. You name it, it is there. You can do that. Or if you love to see this beautiful mug talking to you directly, you can access the video podcast on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X? Question mark? So about X, that's been an interesting one this week. So this week, probably most of you have been impacted by whatever took place with the Amazon servers. And it seems like it's had an effect on the podcast getting out to a lot of the video platforms. I've tried to link my podcast from YouTube on X, which has been kind of a nightmare. So they're there. They can be found. You can go back and you can hear the Victory Cast, number 5 in a row, on any of those other platforms. But Twitter, on the other hand, X, I'm just going to call it Twitter, is really struggling right now. So I'm going to continue to link both the audio and video version to my posts on Twitter while it's still having difficulty figuring their things out. Very frustrating for sure. So sorry about that. It's super annoying, especially given the amount of attention that Kennesaw State is getting right now with how well they're playing and how this brand continues to make itself available to people who may not have exposure to it. We have another opportunity here on Tuesday, so I definitely, obviously, if you're going to do any sort of thing to where you want to get this information out to as many people as possible, them being a talking point was trending the other day, Kennesaw State was, for the football team, then yeah, it'd be great if the platforms work to support that. So hopefully they'll figure it out. If not, I'll try to do the workaround and link the audio and video podcast to my posts on Twitter for anybody who accesses these things on Twitter. You could tell there was something going on because, there are, in doing this now for a little while, there are certain weeks that have shot up and peaked at certain numbers, right? But even the slower weeks, there's still a baseline that you're going to see, and that baseline isn't really even close this week. And I can't figure out what's going on, so I've had to take it down and repost it a few times just to make sure it's getting out there. It's difficult for me to access for the first time on a lot of the platforms. The audio podcast has been working great. I'm very pleased with those services. It's the video ones that have been giving me some trouble. So hopefully we can get all sorted out. Sorry for any inconvenience. I do appreciate all the support, as I always say. But let us start talking about UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso. That game, 8 o'clock, Tuesday night again. ESPNU, which, go ahead and jump on the U. Another primetime game for us. A lot of exposure happening again against a team that, I hate saying it, that we should beat. We should win this game against UTEP. We should become bowl eligible. We are playing this game at home. We are an 8.5 point favorite. The over-under on this game is 50.3. I'm really surprised it's only 8.5, I'll be honest with you. But, for those of you that are interested, let's not forget that last week's game was a 3.5. We were a 3.5 point favorite. We won by 20. And the week before, we were underdog by 6.5 at home against Louisiana Tech. And we destroyed them as well by another 20 points. So do with that information as you will. I've researched UTEP as much as I possibly can. I'm not super blown away by UTEP. They've had a rough season. So far on the season, they are 2-5. UTEP leads the nation in turnovers, the bad way. They like to turn the ball over without question. So that is a good thing. UTEP season so far. They started the season off with a loss against Utah State, 28-16. They won against Tennessee Martin, 42-17. They played the University at Texas. I don't know what I just said there. And they lost 27-10. I watched that game. UTEP played really well in that game. That's the best that this team has played this year. They played really well in that game. Not like Texas Obviously, Texas got a lot of hype this year going into the season, and have they're not a great team, not a great Texas team. They had to come back and score 24 points yesterday in the fourth quarter, beat Mississippi State, which was wild. I actually can't believe Mississippi State blew that game, but Mississippi State blew the game the week before against Florida by being silly. So Mississippi State never ceases to shock of how incompetent some of their decisions are. Anyways, 27-10 loss against Texas. University of Louisiana Monroe, they lost. UTEP lost 31-25 against Louisiana Tech, who we have a common opponent there. UTEP lost 30-11. And then against a very rough Liberty team this year, they lost 19-8. It seems like, and now I'm kind of reading the tea leaves because, again, I don't watch a lot of UTEP. I don't know who does, except probably UTEP fans. I think their stadium's pretty awesome, though, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like in the mountains. Anyways, I think there was a quarterback change. I think that quarterback change started in the University of Louisiana Monroe game, and then the backup quarterback then took over against Louisiana Tech and against Liberty. I believe that's what happened, because if you go and you look at the stats, you've got Nelson is the quarterback, 1,163 yards in the season, 8 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. That's not great. The backup quarterback, and I wrote it down, I thought, but now I have to do this the old-fashioned way and look this up, even though I have his numbers here in front of me, is Lawson is his last name. Yeah. So, well, this magazine is silly. I believe Lawson is his last name. Definitely more of Locklear. Sorry, just saw it. Locklear is his last name. He took over. It looks like he took over for full time in the Louisiana Tech game. And he is definitely more of a running quarterback than the starter of the season, Nelson is. Nelson definitely seems more like a pocket passer. He has very few rushing yards on the season. I forgot to mention when I was going through their record, UTEP's record, that they did just beat Sam Houston State University 35-17. That game was a little closer than the score would show, but they did lose. They did finally get a second win on the season against Sam Houston. So Tennessee Martin and Sam Houston are their 2 wins, all other losses. Locklear, like I said, is not as much of a passer by any means. Also susceptible to the interception bug. In one game against Louisiana Tech, he did have 2 picks. I did not see, I think he had a pick against Liberty, but he also ran for a touchdown. So Locklear's numbers through 3 games this season that he has started is 25 carries for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, looking at 50 yards a game pretty much with 3 scores. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely more of a rushing attack. So you're definitely going to see a very similar offense to what Kennesaw State runs, as far as having the quarterback being a running option as well. He does not have, from what I can tell statistically saying, he does not have the same passing ability as either of our quarterbacks at Kennesaw State, but he will run the ball. Their leading rusher is Emery. Last name's Emery, 60 carries on the season, 237 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wilson, who is their second person in depth with rushing, 39 carries for 208 yards and a touchdown. So right there, 237 yards on 60 carries for a season through 7 games, and you have 60 carries. Now, quick math would tell me that is, about 70 yards a game rushing? Maybe? Is that bad math? I think that might have been bad math. Let me see. 60 carries into 204. So basically you're looking at 40 yards a carry for 40 yards a game for your best running back. That's not terrific. Okay, so what this tells me, without being an expert on UTEP, is the running backs aren't getting a whole bunch of yards. They're running it a good bit, but they're not running it for a whole lot of yards. Okay? The quarterback, the original one, would have to throw the ball. You're definitely behind, but throwing a lot of picks as well, with very little rushing success by that quarterback, Nelson. So remember in college that sack yardage is also taken away from your rushing attempts for a season, your rushing yards for a season, which is a silly stat, by the way. They do not do that in the pros. So I'm going to go to a limb and say that UTEP's offensive line is not the greatest offensive line in the world. Looking at their receivers, Odom is their number one. He's got 36 catches on the season for 367 yards and 3 touchdowns. Davis is the next up with the most yards. He has 13 catches for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns. And finally, Tate has 21 catches on the season, 228 yards, and a touchdown. There is not a lot that stands out to me as far as what this team is good at on offense. Defensively, they're not bad. Yeah, I mean, they're not bad. It looks like they're probably averaging, most likely giving up around 30 points a game. But with an offense that really does struggle to score, they've gone over 20 points 2 times this year, once against Louisiana Monroe, where they lost 31-25, and last week against Sam Houston, which is the most points they've scored this season, which is 35 points. Sam Houston is a really, really bad team. I wouldn't worry too much about this team offensively. Obviously, with having this information and watching the game, if you see this game close, or you see this team moving the field down on Kennesaw State and scoring touchdowns, we got a problem. We have a problem. I do not believe that we have to worry with this Kennesaw State football team and with this coaching staff that we are overlooking an opponent, especially with the significance of what a win here means for this program to become bowl eligible at this level for the first time in their history. We just got our first road win since like 2021. That's wrong. That's a wrong stat. That's not true. It's been since 2023. This is our first road win. This is the most points we've scored against anyone from last week's game against FIU, the 45 points, since 2021. It is the first time we've beaten someone this poorly by this many points since we've come to Division I. So everything is moving in the right direction for sure. That's an understatement of the year. And like I said, you're starting to kind of see the momentum pick up. You know, we look at the injury report. There's nothing there that is standing out. It does make a lot more sense to me in looking at last week's podcast and looking at my notes I made about Bennett being out, only having 18 yards rushing. He is on the injury report. Coleman Bennett is on the injury report. Odom is also on the injury report. The injuries have not been disclosed. They just said that they're questionable going into this game, and the injury reason is not listed. So we don't know if it's an ankle, a shoulder. We don't know anything. So they're questionable. Now, I would suggest that they do not play. I would say that Dexter Williams plays. You're going to have Diggs playing, and also Belcher can play at running back as well. Who is not on our injury report is Binyard or Moss, which is great. So we have the full complement of receivers. We have 2 of our 3 running backs that are more than capable against this defense. And Dexter Williams, the way he's been playing for the last 2 weeks especially, at home, underneath the lights, with getting the support from the fans, can have another exceptional night if he so chooses. I think it's so funny last week when I was watching that broadcast how they were surprised that he could run the ball, and they were saying it's more of a pocket passer, and then they're watching it and just the speed, especially there's a long run in his first drive where he just kind of takes off for 30 yards, also on the touchdown kind of sweep play where he is so fast, and they're like, wow, this guy's really got some wheels behind him. He actually can run the ball. It's like, yeah, he's always been able to run the ball. Again, you don't play Georgia Southern if you can't run the ball as a quarterback. So I think all positive things here with Kansas City. I know I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently, but it really is. I do not see this being an upset. I really don't. I think that Kennesaw State probably takes care of business here, especially because they absolutely have something to play for versus what UTEP is doing right now. UTEP is trying to find their identity, trying to build for the future, if you will. Therefore, whenever you have a team that is more motivated to know that they have this one step to accomplish this major goal for this program, they're going to come out on fire. Now, how do you handle those emotions? I don't know. We'll find that out together. But every single step, every single challenge that's been presented to this team, they have found a way to win and far exceeded expectations. Whether that's games against teams that they are underdogs against, whether that's in games where they're going on the road. Every single situation they have set up. And now, because you kind of see what you're working with, you are starting to peek ahead a little bit. You're especially peeking ahead to 3 weeks from now, which is where the Jacksonville State game is. And if things hold the way they are right now, all of a sudden that becomes the conference championship game almost, to where who's going to finish the season in the number one spot in Conference USA. Those are the only two undefeated programs that are in Conference USA right now. Again, I find it humorous when I look back at what the early season predictions were about what they thought this team was going to be and how they thought that they would do in Conference USA. And then now we're here and you see how well they've done. And it's just, it's always funny to go back. Like I said, the predicted finish is we were finished dead last right there. Liberty on top, Western Kentucky, Jack State, UTEP number 4. So all this has changed. This is way up here. This is way down here. This is way down here. Middle Tennessee State is not doing well either. So whoever took the Conference USA preview in this magazine at the beginning of the season, may want to do a little bit more research on some of these teams and what's going on. Just a suggestion. Conference USA continues to put out a great product on the field. I really do like this conference. I followed them really for the last 2 years, obviously a lot more even this year. I just like it. I like the product that's out there. I like these teams. These teams are a lot of fun to watch. You know, we watch the big boys a lot of times. You'll watch the Big Tens of the world, the SECs in the world, and those games can drag a little bit, you know, especially when you look at the Big Ten and just kind of the power running attack. You know, running 3 yards in a cloud of dust, I love it. I love football, right? But, you know, it's fun to see wide open offense and creative formations and guys doing stuff. You know, if you're a wide receiver, you could run the ball as a running back. You could do a sweep. You could throw the ball. I mean, there's so many cool things and cool plays that are happening with this offense specifically. So I've really, really enjoyed that a great deal. But, you know, this doesn't have to be a long podcast. There's not a lot to preview here. We know what we're getting. We have a home field advantage, so let's take advantage of that. Let's make sure we get out there and we support the team. Let's make sure we're loud when they're on defense, quiet when they're on offense. I don't know why people struggle with that. And pack that place. Let's sell that thing out and show people what's up. Yeah, it's a Tuesday. But this team is one win away from becoming bowl eligible, to go into a bowl game, to guarantee they've got additional time at the season's end. No matter what happens, they are able to have additional practices. They're putting this out there for people to see, especially in this local area with this recruiting base that you have around Kennesaw, Georgia. People continue to advertise Kennesaw State, Kennesaw, Georgia, where it's located, what it's around. I keep hearing suburb of Atlanta. Sure it is. You know, it's just awesome to kind of see that happen. As a kid who grew up in this area, you know, born and raised, Town Center U, someone out there will get that joke. It's just incredible, you know, from what Kennesaw State was when it first started to what it has become. And then you get a football team, and that football team grows quickly. It is a solid team at the Division II level, then coming up to Division I and struggling. But then the next year with a new regime in charge of everything, just having such a positive impact, and the players playing so well and getting the name out there and becoming bowl eligible in Division I your second year, it's incredible. You're talking about competing for a conference championship in a conference that you just started a year and a half ago, and you're competing for the championship of that conference. That's a real conversation. I just am blown away by that, and in a good way. In a good way, I'm blown away by that. You know, I saw the other day there was these percentages of which teams would go to the Conference USA Championship game. And funny enough, Louisiana Tech was still favored to go so over Kennesaw State, which I found funny. I was like, did you not watch that game? But they lost the other night, so that's not going to be an issue. So, yeah, I mean, we are in the driver's seat for sure. We are absolutely in the driver's seat. Take care of your business. Take care of your games. Depending on what happens with Western Kentucky as well, will depend on if we... Obviously, no one wants to lose, right? We don't want a loss in any way, shape, or form. But we're in a great spot. We're in a great spot. Get through that Jack State game. Yeah, we could be onto something very special. But hey, remember, we just take it one game at a time. I know it's coach speak, but here's what I mean by that. Enjoy the ride. Because next year is not promised as far as the success of a football team. You have no idea what's coming every single year, especially in this day and age. You have no idea what a team is year after year. It's a brand new team every single year. You have no clue. So we're laying the groundwork for sure, but definitely enjoy this. Enjoy rooting for a team that is putting something out there that is there to cheer for. I mean, you could be one of these schools that has a team like a Sam Houston or even what UTEP's gone through this year. These bigger programs that are having an awful year, such as a Florida State, of Florida. Look at LSU falling apart. You know, that is people's livelihood, it seems like. You know, that this is their whole existence, and their team is an absolute train wreck, and they have to sit there weekend. There's no joy when your team's terrible. It's not fun to watch that stuff, to watch your team just get obliterated week after week after week in front of your home crowd and all this money you pay to support those programs. That sucks. That is not fun at all. So to be able to support a team that's playing this well and that's being successful, enjoy this. It is a great, great season no matter what. Again, 2 wins last year. Picked to finish dead last in Conference USA. We are in first place. We have not lost a conference game. We have been beaten by the number 2 team in the nation, scored more points against that team, by the way, than UCLA did yesterday. So in the same place, in the same location at Indiana, Wake Forest is turning out to be a pretty decent team, actually. So, yeah, I mean, Kennesaw State may just really be the real deal. I'm just very impressed. So, like I said, guys, enjoy it. I hope everyone has a great week. Again, please like and subscribe. Help a brother out. If you enjoy it, share this with your friends. Share it with coworkers, whomever. I really enjoy talking to you guys. I really enjoy doing this. And it's nice to know that you're not just talking into the ether, if you will, that no one ever listens or no one ever responds. You have no idea how much I appreciate the feedback, even from rival fans who do not believe that I was correct in my prediction. They were wrong. But yeah, it's fun to talk to them as well. So thank you for participating. Thank you for the support. I hope everyone has a great week. Check out the Etsy store if you'd like to buy hats, shirts, bumper stickers, whatever you like. Hooty Hoo KSU Football Podcast. We are going to sign off. Have a great week, guys. Bye.